For more than 1 billion people in the world, Hinduism is not just a religion. It is a way of life. For the Hindu, it is the eternal tradition, the eternal way beyond human history. It began as far back as 1400 to 1500 BC, and although it is the third largest religion in the world, it exists primarily in India and Nepal. Hindus believe it is the world's oldest religion. It has no beginning. It precedes recorded history. It has no human founder. It is a mystical religion, leading the devotee to personally experience the truth within, finally reaching the pinnacle of consciousness, where man and God are one. Hindus can be atheists, deists, nihilists. They can believe in one God or many. Hinduism is a fusion of multiple cultures and traditions with no ecclesiastic order, no unquestionable religious authority. It has no governing body, no prophet, or any binding book. And although it is linked together by shared concepts and rituals, as well as sacred writings, there is a strong tradition of questioning all things in order to deepen the understanding of truth and to further develop the Hindu tradition.
The Hindu name actually came from a place called Sindhi rivers, or the mountain still is in Pakistan. So the Hindu came that those who live beyond the valley, they call the Hindus.
So Hindus, if you're a believing, practicing Hindu, you can see much of the world as being Hindu. In fact, they would say that even the name Hindu is not really the name they have for their religion. They call themselves simply the religion of man.
Hindus not a religion. According to Indian High Court, it is not a religion, it is a society, or it is a community.
Hinduism is more like a way of life. It's a way of life in the sense that it encompasses not just their religious identity, but their cultural identity as well.
Hinduism looks to its own forms of scripture, known as the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Agamas. To be Hindu is to embrace these writings as sacred. They are a mixture of myth, theology, and history, which forms a religious root, even if there are contradictions. This openness to contradiction can be confusing to the Western mind, which seeks logical consistency and rational defensibility in its religious views. But for the Hindu, life is a paradox.
But Hinduism, I mean, it's so hard to speak about Hinduism. There's not an orthodoxy in Hinduism. As the Mahabharata, you got 26 volumes of an epic poem. And they pull stories out of that and deities out of that, but they're not a scripturalist tradition.
They have many holy books, and those books are written in Sanskrit. And many people, they cannot read and write Sanskrit. Only the priesthood, the priest class, the Brahman, they can read. Hindu, because there is no one scripture, so it's many things involved with the culture.
There can be as many as 330 million gods within Hinduism. Brahma, the creator of the universe, Vishnu, the protector who keeps the earth from being destroyed, and Shiva, the destroyer, are the three main manifestations of the one, all-pervasive, supreme being known as Brahman. These three make up the Trimurti, what Christians might call the Trinity of Hinduism. Other gods are the avatars of these various deities.
each, an ethnic group, they already have a set of gods that is more prominent for them. For example, with the Bengalis in West Bengal, the Bengali Hindus, their most prominent gods are Kali and Durga.
So like people are business class people, they like to worship Ganapati because that is the business god, the elephant head god. The Kali is a god of destruction. She can destroy, kill and give different diseases. So those people have a diseases and destruction, they worship her.
To appease her?
To please her. Actually, it's very different perspective that we Christianity, we think about God. The Christianity, we please God or we worship God because we love Him. But the Hindu, they try to please or love, so God will not curse them. So it's out of fear they do all the activities, and also they want to receive the benefits.
Many see Hinduism as a polytheistic religion. However, to the Hindu, each of these gods, deities, and avatars are ultimately manifestations of the one true God, Brahman, the one all-pervasive supreme being who is both immanent and transcendent, both creator and unmanifest reality. So for many, Hinduism is in fact monotheistic.
Hinduism is so pluriform, it's so multifaceted, that you really can and do have all those different things. It can be sort of a philosophy, for example, a monistic philosophy or a philosophy of being a vegetarian, a practice, you have these central tenets, but there's not an enforcer who goes around and says, you must follow it this way. So in that regard, within the context of Hinduism, there's tremendous flexibility.
Hindus believe in karma, the law of cause and effect by which each individual creates his own destiny by his thoughts, words, and deeds. They believe that the soul reincarnates, evolving through many births and deaths until all karmas have been resolved, and moksha, liberation from the cycle of rebirth, is attained. Not a single soul will be deprived of this destiny.
If you are like cow in this life, and if you do good works, the next life you can be a human. Or if you are human but low caste Hindu, the Hindu has a different caste. If you do the better job, good works, more good works, then next life you will have a promotion life, you will have a high caste Hindu.
So for a Hindu, as much as they work hard and devout and they're trying to do good things in society and live a sacrificial life, their hope is that they will get better, right? But they know that it will take thousands of cycles, from them to be ultimately liberated. So they just think about it, and it's like, I have to work hard in this lifetime, but then I don't even know whether I'll be in a better position in the next lifetime, then I have to work hard again. And so it's a very burdensome kind of life, and they don't, because they also don't really know. There's no guarantee that if you do this is what will happen to you.
This belief in both karma and reincarnation is responsible for some of the extreme measures followers may undertake to escape the cycles of death and rebirth. It also plays a part in the caste system, the Hindu concept of the social order.
They believe that the human race come from the Brahma, and then Brahman came from head. The warrior caste came from soldier, another group from stomach, and the low caste or Dalit come from the feet of the Brahma. So the Hindu are the priesthood caste, high caste, who came from Brahma's head. So that is the Brahman, the priest class.
The Kshatriyas are it's like the class of people who were like the army, the ones who defended the people.
Visyas, the producers, the craftsmen, artisans, farmers, the skillful producers of material things, and the merchants. Shudras, the unskilled laborers or laboring class, the followers or the maintenance people, the so-called menial workers or hard laborers. And there is a fifth class as well, the Dalit or the untouchable.
Who clean the roads, toilets, and those kind of lower jobs they do. Yeah, and economically many of them are poor, and they not get chance to go to the best school because other high caste Hindus children don't want to sit with them or eat with them. Even until today, the Dalit or untouchable do not allow go to any restaurant to drink cup of tea in the teapots.
Hindus venerate certain animals, believing them to be representations of gods or of ancestors working out their own individual destiny. They believe that all life, whether human, animal, or even the life of insects, is sacred, to be loved and revered, and so they practice ahimsa, non-injury, in thought, word, and deed. This reverence for life even leads the Hindu to be vegetarian. Hindus believe that divine beings exist in unseen worlds and that temple worship, rituals, sacraments, and personal devotionals create a communion with these devas and gods. An enlightened master is considered essential to know the transcendent absolute, as are personal discipline, good conduct, purification, pilgrimage, self-inquiry, meditation, and surrender in God. The river Ganges flows for 1,569 miles from the western Himalayas in the Indian state of Uttarakhand through the plains of North India into Bangladesh, where it empties into the Bay of Bengal. It is the third largest river in the world. It is considered sacred and is personified as the goddess Ganga. Every morning, one can see Hindu worshippers coming down to her banks to bathe in these mystical waters for the remission of sins, which helps to liberate them from the cycle of life and death.
Ganges itself is God. So it's not like there's something apart from that river. The river is God. So to bathe in it, to drink from it, to wash in it, to be cremated and buried in it, you're flowing into the Ganges and you're flowing into God.
Although Hindus consider her waters to be pure, the Ganges is ranked as the fifth most polluted river in the world. To the Hindu, no religion teaches the only way to salvation above all others. All genuine paths are facets of God's light, deserving tolerance and understanding. Most Hindu traditions do not emphasize personal attendance to regular worship services or times of fellowship and preaching so familiar to Christianity and Sunday morning church. Instead, individuals or families visit temples on their own time, during which they will take personal moments in front of various idols. For Hindus living in the West, there are signs that this is changing slightly due to the influence of the Western model of church attendance. However, for most of the rest of the Hindu world, it is festivals, not weekly gatherings, that are the glue which brings the community together. Some festivals, such as Holi and Diwali, cross national, linguistic, caste, and other cultural barriers, while other festivals remain localized within specific ethnic or caste groups. Most of these festivals are connected to the changing of seasons or harvest time. India still has the largest number of Hindus, while Nepal has the highest ratio, over 80%. There are some 70 million Hindus living outside of India, dwelling in over 140 nations. This diaspora can present certain challenges in reaching out with the gospel because in some cases they choose to live in communities isolated from their host nation's own culture. But in other cases, they can be more open to discussion about faith because of their syncretistic worldview. It has been noted, however, that while Hindus can be very open to discussions about Jesus as the Son of God, at some point it is good to emphasize that Jesus is the only Son of God, because the Hindu worldview might interpret him as just another one of the millions of manifestations of God.
But there's a whole tradition within Hinduism as well, of bhakti devotional Hinduism, in which your path to nirvana, your path to salvation, comes through devoting yourself to a particular deity or to a particular guru and his teachings. And within that worldview, when that guru, that tradition or teaching or deity is Jesus, it does lead them in the pathway of submission to his teachings, his values, his worldview, and that transforms a Hindu just as it would anyone else over time. So, yeah, there is a danger that they won't understand the exclusivity and the uniqueness of Christ, but as they draw close to him and they devote themselves to him, he takes care of himself and he guides them and shapes them into what it means to be a Christ follower.
Hindus are the second largest, least reached religious group in the world, and only around 2% of cross-cultural missionaries seek to share the gospel with them. 2%. The majority of Hindus still live without any meaningful access to the gospel of Jesus Christ. Since 1993, World Christian has published an annual prayer guide calling the Church to make a concerted effort to learn about, pray for, and reach out to the world's Muslim neighbors. This has been an annual event occurring during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Some believe that an unprecedented number of Muslims have turned to Christ in just the past 30 years, in part because of this effort. Now, World Christian has launched a new annual international prayer focus for the Hindu world. The 15 Days of Prayer for the Hindu World invites you to participate each year in learning and understanding who Hindus are and what they believe. And then, with fresh understanding, to pray for the 1.3 billion Hindus who live throughout the world. Each year, just before the Hindu festival of Diwali, you will receive a prayer guide that will walk you through each day, providing stories and facts about Hinduism, its people, and the cultures that adhere to its teachings. Join Christians around the world for 15 days of prayer into an active understanding of God's transforming love.